everybody. Welcome to Azure Flash News, episode 98.
98,
How's it? It's Rick.
98,
We're getting
98.
so close to episode 100.
I know,
We're almost
I
there.
know. 98 and feeling great. So I think we're in good shape here to break that milestone, which is
Yes, we
awesome.
are. Won't be long. We usually do the show on Fridays, not always, but this time we decided to
Mhm.
kind of push it off until Monday. So happy Monday to everybody.
Yep,
We're recording the show on October 5th. I can't believe it's October.
I know. 12 days to my
Oh,
birthday.
really? 12 days. So the
Yep,
17th, huh?
I'm gonna be old.
Right.
It's all good.
Newsflash.
I know.
We're
Newsflash. Guess what,
we're
dude?
we're, we're already old.
I haven't been young for quite
I
some
know
time.
it's time flies, man. Um,
Yeah, no, and speaking of time flying, time has flown with some new announcements since the last time we had an Azure Flash News,
yes,
right?
that's right. We have some good stuff this week. Rick, do you want to kind of briefly
We
go over
really
the
do.
announcements?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've got some new video capabilities, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Some partner product offerings that provide some seamless integration. Some updates with Azure Backup. A big telecommunications announcement, which is really cool. And then definitely last, but definitely not least, is some genomics
Which is
stuff,
also
which is really
which is
kind of,
also kind of fun. So okay,
yeah, it's very
let's
fun.
dive in here. All right. So
Absolutely.
new video analytics capabilities. I mean, this stuff is just really taken off. It's the stuff we can do with video.
Oh, well, it's amazing, right? So a lot of it is we're really kind of taking the construct of video and we're enhancing the heck out of it,
Yeah.
right? So video in and of itself absolutely is valuable, right? I can watch you on the screen, I can see your emotions, I can do my own personal sentiment analysis based on how you're reacting to what I'm saying, but I may not be that person all the time, right? There might be some miscues that I'm missing. There might be some cultural
Yep.
differences. There might be some language barriers. There's also some non-interactive types of videos that you want to
Yep.
capture as well. For example, one of the announcement we're talking about is spatial
Yep.
analysis. So naturally, with spatial analysis, you can determine based on cognitive services, right? So some smarts, we're taking spatial analysis, and we're including that into a video feed, so that any think about social
Yeah.
distancing,
I was just
right? I
gonna
mean,
say,
that's a top of mind.
social
Yeah,
distancing.
exactly. Top of mind these
Yep.
days, right? So with the social distancing construct, you can, and it's interesting because I've played in this space in a former life, and I know if distance is everything, as long as I know the focal point, and as long as I know a few attributes of the video,
Yep.
um, I can determine an awful lot.
Right.
Specifically, in this case, you can determine distance or spatial analysis, right, between objects depending on where it's pointing, what it's looking at, what its throw is for visibility, et cetera.
Yep.
So, really, really kind of cool stuff, right? So, and unfortunately, they do have this example when people violate a distance rule,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's part of it.
Yep.
I shouldn't say unfortunately, I should say
Fortunately.
fortunately.
Yeah.
They actually called this out. Yeah. Um, there's also the Intel OpenVINO model server, right? So the OpenVINO model server is it's basically an AI extension from Intel. And it includes some really cool things. So they have this thing called I believe they call it the zoo. Yeah, the Open Model Zoo,
Yeah.
right? And so there's all kinds of different kind of integration capabilities, acceleration mechanisms, and the cool thing is you can run it on CPU, you can run it on
VGA.
FPGA, you can run it on. Yep, exactly. So all the stuff we offer, right?
Yep. That's right.
Um,
Um,
so that's really exciting,
yeah.
without a
There's
doubt.
also some integration with NVIDIA GPUs with the Azure services. So being able to really take advantage of the some of this hardware support, ARM 64, which is kind of kind of where processors are going. Honestly, is being able to do
Oh, absolutely.
64-bit ARM support. So
That's crazy. Yeah, so the NVIDIA piece is pretty exciting too, right? So they've got an SDK that they call Deep Seam, not Deep Seam, Deep
deep
Stream.
stream.
Um, and so they've got some really cool capabilities that plug into are very complementary to like Azure Media
Mm-hmm.
Services. Obviously, you can host those assets on storage, but definitely, I think the biggest bang here is with all these announcements, it really comes into the IoT
Yeah.
space, right? Object detection, motion detection. And it's meant to be hands off. It's not meant for me to be watching it and acknowledge and change. It's meant for a system to be watching
Yeah.
it and acknowledge and change,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For example, if I'm monitoring an asset and all of a sudden it disappears, right? If it's a high value asset, that should be triggering something. So if I'm doing object detection for an object that's not there anymore, well, we might want to follow up on
That's
that.
right. That's right. So
So yeah. really cool things coming into play
Yeah,
here.
and I think it's easy to think about video as being something that I don't know. It just seems like something that people might not be that interested in, except that there are so many opportunities to use video to learn
Oh,
and to monitor in retail, in manufacturing, like video of a laydown yard for a construction company to know where things are in the
yeah.
laydown yard. There's just so many ways to think about. If you think about it instead of being like video, think of it more like computer vision. It starts to
Yep.
think about like what if I could have AI, the AI,
Hmm.
watching this thing all the time and helping me know when video events happen. These are the kinds of things you can do with this video analysis these days.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And what's even crazier is, again, if you know some of the attributes of that video feed,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually create 3D models from a 2D video,
Yeah.
right? It's looking for points of reference, it's warping, it's distorting the image to a point where now you create a shape and you create a point cloud. And you can absolutely, I mean, when you think about forensics analysis, right? If I'm trying to reproduce a scenario, but I need some depth, right? I maybe need some depth to determine velocity, or I need depth to determine certain attributes. You can absolutely take these video feeds if you have some of that fundamental information and actually produce a 3D setting or environment that you can reproduce exactly what
Yeah.
happened. So there's some really cool integration and some really cool opportunities here.
There's a little bit of a diagram here showing kind of how you use video and feed it to the rest of the Azure cloud services, and how you might store it on Blob, and how you might send the data to IoT Hub, and then that might fire off
Yep.
events and functions. And so, just know that this is not just sort of theoretical. We actually have some good ways for you to get started. Go check this out. This is some really exciting stuff for getting video.
Yeah. Some great reference
Yeah,
architectures, that's for
yeah,
sure.
that's right.
Cool.
Okay.
Very cool.
So then the next thing is some monitoring. I mean, you, you have to know what's going on in your environment, right?
Oh, of course.
And
You can't be the blind leading the blind.
that's
That's not going to
that
fly, not in this day and
that's
age.
exactly right. And so um, we have some built-in monitoring capabilities with Azure, Azure
Absolutely.
Monitor, and
Yep.
all of the diagnostics that are available. But there are
Yep.
some times where it makes sense to use a third party as well. We invite third
Oh, of
parties on,
course.
and this is a kind of unique third party offering because it's not a third party offering.
Yes.
It's a first party third party offering, right? Right.
Exactly. And this is kind of cool because this does kind of fill, I will say, an enterprise gap, right? We do have customers that may have produced, so this announcement is specifically around Datadog and how it integrates into Azure, right? We have customers absolutely all over the place that have made an investment in Datadog. They like that single point I'll say data
Mm-hmm.
observability, for lack of a better
Yep, for
word.
sure.
And so what this announcement does is basically, to your point, we're treating it like a first person, a
First
first
party,
class
yeah,
citizen.
first
Yeah,
party solution, yeah.
first party. Yeah, and it's so basically what we're doing is we're enabling the integration with Datadog, but also you don't have to do something crazy where you create a forwarding pipeline, right?
Yeah.
We're not forcing you to do something where you have diagnostic settings, dump it to a storage account, event hubs, event gets triggered when that storage account has a file on it or has a whatever, an entry, a function. This is all taken care of. So we're making it basically so you can install the Datadog agent on a VM with a single click,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just like you can do with some of our other agents. And then, of course, now we've got the streaming components to it, and we're getting that data actually into the diagnostic process and into Datadog without having to jump through a bunch of
Yeah,
hoops.
and creating the Datadog, monitoring service is a first-party experience in the portal. It's
Yep.
not something you have to do on your own. We can really help get that going for you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So, it's actually consumable via, I believe, the right through our
Mm-hmm.
marketplace, right? You can go in and you
Yep.
can actually go ahead and purchase it, click it, provision it to your VMs, and literally just get up and running with a few
That's
clicks,
right.
which is super
That's
exciting.
right. So if you're either a Datadog customer or if you've kind of been curious about trying it out, this would be another great way for you to try it out, see what you think,
Yeah.
and get some experience with it because it's first party service, easy to author, easy to deploy, ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. As I look at the screenshots, I mean, it looks super simple from an integration
Yeah,
perspective, right? It looks just like a lot of our other traditional walkthrough wizards where you've got the
yeah,
basics. You define your metrics and logs, what you want to include. It looks like name value key pair tags. Yep. For Azure App Service Plans, for example, in this case, you can say send subscription activity logs, send Azure
yep,
resource logs,
yep,
and boom, off you go. So real simple to get started.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
really important stuff, really great. So for those of you who have been looking for a more integrated Datadog experience, go check it out. It's available.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
okay. Azure Backup. I mean, we used to joke. So I have a SQL background, as Rick, you know, and we used to
Yes, you
say
do.
there's only a couple of reasons why a SQL DBA can get fired, and one of them is to not have backups, and the other
Oh
one is
Lord,
to not
yes.
test your backups.
Absolutely. They have to go hand in
Right.
hand.
So
They absolutely do.
with that as a lead-in, there is a service
Yep.
in Azure
Perfect,
for
Leland.
doing backups, and we have some new capabilities in Azure Backup.
And so Azure Backup is really part of a broader
Right.
ecosystem, though, right? When we talk about backup, we're really talking about, we've got migration services, we've got disaster recovery services, we've got high availability services, and backup is really just a part of that ecosystem, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's just really kind of like, some solutions you might have to create an HADR solution or a DR solution that includes immediate failover. Maybe that's good enough.
Yep.
Maybe another
Yeah,
solution, it's
maybe
good.
your RPO is
Yeah,
zero.
that's right. Or maybe it's good enough if the RTO is a week, right? So in other
Yeah.
words, it's okay if it
Yep.
takes time to perform the recovery. So maybe you
Yep.
say, well, we just need to back that up, have it in a backup vault, and we can restore it in another region, whatever. So it's really important part. It's like you have a toolbox. We have some expensive tools that are very highly capable, and we have some little bit less expensive tools when you don't quite need that performance.
Oh,
And backup
absolutely.
is one of the less
Absolutely.
expensive ones because the recovery time is longer.
Yeah, absolutely. But some of the cool things about this, right? Right. So we're talking about an Azure database for PostgreSQL, for
Yep.
example, right? And you can actually have uh, retain. What is it? The policy,
Yeah,
right?
the
You've got
retain
a
policy.
retainment
Yeah,
policy
right.
retain for 10
Yeah,
years,
right. And so
right?
if you
So
have regulatory needs to keep a database, and in this case a Postgres database, you'll be able to now fulfill that. It's easy, just kind of turn it on, good to go, right?
yeah, retention policy.
Thank
That's what I
thank you,
was looking.
Ricky. We get all of the
It's
buzzwords.
it's
Yeah,
Monday.
it is
It's
Monday. Yeah.
Monday. But the nice thing about this too is you can ensure that you're getting consistent snapshots
Yep.
of that backup data,
Right.
right? So with Oracle and MySQL, running on an Azure Linux virtual
Right.
machine, right? So just so there's no nothing up my sleeve, and we're not just talking about Windows and SQL
Right.
Server, right? This is Oracle, it's MySQL, it's Linux, it's
Right.
PostgreSQL. These are all we're meeting you where you are and helping you protect your data estate.
Yeah, and so some more capabilities here, just some extra backup capabilities. So now we can support backing up all of the disks, operating system, and data.
Yep,
I mean, honestly,
and
I mean,
data.
we've had Azure Backup for a while, but over time,
Yep.
all of the little nooks and crannies, edge cases, corner cases, we're filling those in
Yeah.
and making it easy. Like I said, like this Oracle backup. So now if you don't want to use Oracle backup solutions, you can use Azure Backup and still get consistent
Yeah.
snapshots. So these are things that maybe you had a solution for, but now we have a more integrated Azure Backup solution.
Absolutely. And then in addition to that, you've got SAP HANA and RHEL,
Yeah,
Azure Virtual Machines. So backend is certified by SAP, and it's the native solution for Azure, right? Azure Backup is the native solution for Azure. So we added support for RHEL, which it's obvious, SAP HANA is basically RHEL owns kind of that
right,
space, right? They seem to be the de facto
right.
standard for operating systems.
And if you're running SAP here in the next year or two, you have to be on HANA or not be
Oh,
supported. I'm sure
absolutely.
there'll be some people that choose to go unsupported or get third-party support, but SAP is
Yeah.
saying that everybody has to be on HANA by I think it's 2023, so which is just around the corner.
Yeah.
So being able
Yeah,
to support
literally
that is
in
great.
cloud time.
This one I think was big for me.
The HANA one?
No, the seamless backup of Azure
Oh,
files. I mean, it's
oh,
like
absolutely.
so nice because Azure Files, if you don't know, is like an SMB endpoint for Azure
Yep.
storage, or I guess we're actually adding
Or
NFS.
NFS
Yeah,
now.
that's right.
Yep.
So if you need
Yep.
an NFS or an SMB endpoint for file shares, now we can actually seamlessly back those up with Azure Backup. So
Yep.
it's just really good stuff coming out here, Rick. I mean, I just like.
Oh, without a doubt.
I'm really excited about all this stuff. So
Well, and I like to see things like, again, enhanced security, right? So we've enhanced security for backups where we can do a soft delete. So if a nefarious actor comes in and basically, security threats are, monetarily, but also reputational, right? So what we're doing is we're helping protect you on both fronts by, yeah, if somebody wants to come in and be, malicious, fine. We're going to keep that soft delete. We're going to soft delete that for 14
yep,
days.
that's right.
Okay. So we're going to allow the recovery of that backup with no data loss for 14 days, in addition to
Yeah.
the backup data that's sitting there, and for no extra cost.
We just want to make sure that there's no way that even an internal or an external actor can do something to hurt you because there's no reason we can't just keep this data around for a little bit longer. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple other conversational pieces in there, but I definitely recommend. It's just like any other technology in the cloud. If you haven't looked at it lately, you haven't looked
Yeah,
at it, right?
yeah, and you also have to be diligent. This is just one of the things about cloud, which has two sides of this
Yeah.
coin. One is that there's always new features coming out like this, but on the other side of that coin is
Always.
you have to keep up, and hopefully,
Right. And that's why
yeah, I
we're
was gonna
here.
say hopefully we're helping with that, because I always have people say, "Oh my gosh,
Yes.
how do I keep up with this stuff?" It's like, well, we do a show every week to try and highlight the good stuff. But also,
Yep.
you
Yep.
have to invest. We
Exactly.
all have to invest. We do too, Rick, right? You and I have to constantly
Oh
invest
yeah.
in learning this stuff. So,
We've got a considerably large increased investment in learning with our technical skilling
yes,
initiative.
yes, we do. Okay.
Yes, we do. No, it's exciting. So definitely, like I said, if you haven't checked out Backup for a while, you haven't checked it out. So please go take a look at it. In addition to everything we mentioned, there's a few other announcements in the related posts. So definitely worth a second glance if you're using a bunch of disparate backup solutions and you want to consolidate and probably reduce some costs in there as
That's
well.
right. Right.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So 5G is like the next big buzzword. 5G is going to solve the world's problems. It's going to make healthcare easy. It's going to make everything, right? Of course, but of course, the reality is that there's a lot of integration and a lot of stuff
Oh
that
yeah.
we can do to help make this easy to roll out, to get out to everybody. And we have an
Yep.
announcement around that.
Yes, yes, we do. So first and foremost, when we say 5G, we don't have a transposition here. We're not talking about a G5 or G6 Gulfstream, right? We are actually talking about
Yes,
telecommunications,
5G
right?
being sort of the new shorter wavelength and the re-rolling out of what essentially is going to have to happen, a re-rolling out of
Oh,
all of the telecom wireless infrastructure to accommodate these
yep,
new technologies because these technologies have different wavelengths. And so it's going to take a
yep.
whole new set of infrastructure for this to be rolled out.
Yeah, and so interesting. So this is probably more than anybody wants to know. But if you think about how cell towers work today, at a typical cell tower is about 144 feet tall. Okay, and given the curvature of the Earth, that gives you a line of sight of about 12 miles to that next cell tower. So you've got at a maximum, you've got about 12 miles between cell towers. Now with 5G, I don't know
Right.
if line of sight is actually sufficient anymore.
It really isn't. It depends upon which part. There's two new sets of frequencies. There's kind of the low band, which is kind of being rolled out now, which may not be that much
Yep.
faster than LTE. But then there's the
Right.
mid band that I think Verizon is rolling out a very narrow band
Yeah.
that doesn't go through
Yep.
walls very well. So this sort of like
No.
140 foot high, 12-mile thing is just
Yeah.
not going to cut it anymore.
It shrinks pretty consistently, right? So basically, so they're saying what this does, though, and this is really cool. So the interconnect capability with the operators network that we've been working with, we have one of the largest networks in the world that connects with 170 points of presence over 20,000 peering connections. So ultimately, what this does, it puts us within 25 miles of 80% of the world's GDP.
Wow.
85%, I'm sorry, 25 miles of 85% of the world's GDP. So and we've already got 200 operators that have been chosen to integrate with the Azure network, and they're using express route. So they're using, MPLS, high performance, highly redundant available services. And this is really
So in other
exciting.
words, if you as a customer are wanting to take advantage of 5G connectivity, Azure is a great place to be because we are integrating with those
Yeah,
5G networks such that it's not the 5G network over here and the Azure network over here. It's like the Azure network is in the center and we connect to all of these 5G network locations to make it so that
exactly.
the Azure network is integrated with the 5G network across the whole world.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. So as a customer, if this is something you're interested in, we are our early engagement rate now. Our partnership is with Telstra and uh, Etisalat, right? So they're helping us shape this path. We also joined the 5G Open Innovation Lab, where we're essentially we're a founding public cloud partner.
Hmm.
And this is all about, creating this particular lab is kind of cool because it helps. It's talking about sustainable ecosystems. It's talking about long-term viability, and it's also got some concerns other than just the throw of the communications. It's also talking about including and tying in IoT and mixed reality and some of
Yeah.
these other capabilities. So
So much,
really, really
so
exciting.
much of IoT connectivity is done on a cell
Oh,
network, and so just think about um, the new things we can do. I mean, for instance, I mean this is kind of the overused example, but connected car, right?
oh,
So being
totally.
able to use the cloud to help run and drive and consume telemetry from cars, and having the
Right.
5G network out in the field be
Yep.
very closely connected to the Azure cloud network with all of the
Oh,
network
yeah.
capabilities that are already out there.
I can see a day not too long in the future when we start putting up light posts, and essentially they've got a 5G or a Ethernet or fiber, right? That just has a 5G
Mm-hmm.
uh, antenna,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the next thing you know, to your point, as you're driving on the highway, that you're just,
Yep.
you've got periodically you're surrounded by these antennas and all this data, and I don't know, maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but it's a thing.
Yeah, well, as our society moves more and more mobile and expects more and more out of the wireless
Right.
network, we're just going to have to be ready to integrate that wireless network with the rest of the network. So it's going to be a good
Yep.
development to really make it easier
Yeah.
because there's so much monopoly in the wired networks, and being able to
Yep.
add another real broadband capability and to both wireless situations and fixed location. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. No, it's fantastic. And then you take this and couple it with our satellite announcements.
Azure
What are we
Orbital,
calling our
Orbital,
service?
Azure
Orbital. Thank
Orbital.
you. Yeah. Just some really cool announcements lately around telecom and really bringing Azure to, I'll call it the
That's
edge,
right.
right? But I don't mean edge compute. I mean to the edge of the
That's
world.
right. To the whole world. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely worth checking out, man. I mean, if you've got a high bandwidth need, or I should say a high throughput need, this is definitely an area that you're going to want to explore, especially if you're in IoT or if you're doing something in one of those locations where it's not necessarily super efficient to get a signal in, or maybe that last mile is really expensive because you got to lay all the infrastructure. This is a great
yep, it most
alternative.
certainly is. Okay, excellent,
Yeah.
excellent, excellent. Love it. Okay, let's moving on to genomics. Genomics? Genomics.
Yes. You pronounce it however you want
Potato?
to pronounce it. I
Potato?
say genomics, but
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So, uh, for those listening at home, not everybody's in healthcare, right? So what kind of things are we doing on Azure, right? I mean, genomics is the basically the work with what?
Well, it's just like, being able to take and target your therapeutics at a particular person. So, in other words,
Right.
like how do we take and sequence? Like, I remember back when, I don't know, whenever they were doing the first DNA sequence of a person, it cost like,
Yes.
I don't know,
Yes.
it cost like, $1 million or something like that.
Oh,
But
and it took
and it took
forever.
forever. But it was an amazing development at the time to be able to do
Yep.
that. But but now we can do it in so much less time, so that you might actually be able to take somebody's DNA sequence and start to use that to target therapeutics directly at the person.
Exactly. You can create a custom prescription specifically for that person based.
I think I've lost Rick, so I'm gonna go ahead and just quick finish this out. Um, so the rest of this is really all about being able to use sequencing genomes at the population level, so that way we can decipher genomic fingerprints of diseases, of people, all kinds of things. And so these are the kinds of advancements that we're doing in Azure to make even small use case scenarios work for all kinds of users. So just remember that if you're in genomics and you want to look at this, it's really I have Rick. Uh-oh. I barely have Rick.
Barely.
Oh, maybe. One more time, Rick. Say hello.
Rick.
You're just cutting out a little bit, Rick. So
Here.
I'm sorry, you there now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay, great.
Okay.
So I just went
Yeah, I
ahead.
don't. I had a. There's some construction going on down the road, and I have a sneaking suspicion they're to play in this.
So, Rick, you can, if you want to, you can turn on your video or not. It doesn't matter. We can finish up. But
Okay.
is there anything else you want to add to the genomics?
Well, I was just saying, so, ultimately what we're doing is we're taking that generic model of the person like Seinfeld talks about in his stand-up comedy where the guy's like this, and it's just that one shape, and we're taking that, but we're making it look like you or me or whoever the person is that we're actually targeting instead of that, very templated approach to medicine.
Yeah.
And I think the more you can target the specific individual, the better off. I think the better the outcomes are going to be, right? If we think about trying to, that's because that's what medicine's all about, right? Is
Yeah.
positive
Yeah,
outcomes.
that's right. I mean, this is exciting stuff. I was just while you were gone, I was just saying like we're trying to make sure that we don't just provide solutions just in the generic, or we just do VMs, but there's such important work going on in these kinds of areas like genomics, and we want to make sure
Hmm.
that not only do we genomics or healthcare in general or finance or
Yep,
retail, this is another important part of what we're trying to do.
absolutely. If you're going to do it
That's
right.
right. That's right. So I mean, I think that's it. Actually, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah. Oh,
Rick, where can people find you if they want to catch you after the show?
absolutely. If anybody needs to get a hold of me for whatever reason, you can definitely reach me at Rick, WEY, at Microsoft.com. And as usual, as I always say, I'm always monitoring the Azure Flash News Twitter feed as well. So you can direct message us there if you have any questions, comments, concerns, cheap shots, remarks,
Yep.
etc. We're always available
Yeah,
there. And
that's
Mark?
right. And you can catch me on Twitter at mgarner or mgarner@microsoft.com. Either way is fine. And I want to give
Awesome.
a shout out to everybody who's watching live and watching later. Whenever you get a chance, go ahead and subscribe. Get it.
Yeah,
We're
please.
trying to get up over the 100 subscriber mark, Rick. And I think when we get up to over 100 subscribers, then I think we can I don't know. YouTube gives us another capability like name our feed or something like that. So hey,
All
we
right
get
on.
something out of it. So if you're watching the
Yeah,
show
absolutely.
and you haven't subscribed, be the subscriber that puts us up over 100. But
Oh,
if
yeah.
we're already there by the time you watch, be the first one to help get us
Even
to a
better.
thousand. Yeah,
Yeah, even better,
yeah.
exactly. And it's interesting because we've got listeners on Stitcher and we've got
Mm-hmm.
listeners on YouTube and on our. They actually can go to our website and see the
That's
video.
right.
iTunes, right? There's just we've got a mixed audience all over the place, and around the world too, which
That's
is
right.
really kind of
That's
cool.
right. We do know that people are watching from
Yeah.
around the world. So anyway,
Oh
thanks
yeah.
to everybody. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
Everybody have a good week this week and enjoy the stuff. And if you have any questions about stuff we talked about, just give us a tweet.
Yeah, please do. And I think so. I've been in contact with one of our peers who's really anxious to demo an IoT solution he's been working on, Mr. Rutz, who you've seen on our
Oh,
show in the
great.
past. Yep. So we're going to make sure we hook him up and get him doing a demo for us. So that'll be
That'll be
exciting.
our
But
first.
having,
It'll be our first live streamed with 3 people. I'm ready. Let's do it.
yeah, well, or just, yeah, disconnected.
That's
Exactly.
right.
So
That's right.
having said that, we're looking forward to that. And as usual, we're always looking forward to talking to you. Roughly same time, same place, whatever your preferred venue for data
That's
is.
right.
But until that next time, please stay healthy.
Yeah.
Keep your fingers on the sanitized keyboard and keep your head in the
Yeah. Thanks,
clouds.
everybody. Bye bye. See you later.